Welcome to another virtual Jiu-Jitsu fundamentals class. I'm excited. This is my first Jiu-Jitsu virtual fundamentals class using our new webcam. So I think the picture I can already see on my computer looks a little brighter and more clear compared to some of our others. So hopefully you guys have a nice, good picture too. On the downside, they're doing some like excavating right across the street behind us. So there might be some more noise that is fairly unavoidable right now, but we'll do the best that we can do. We've recently been doing some guard passing, and we're going to switch back to doing some submissions today. Okay? And so we'll go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to have Mira lay down on her back right here with her feet facing that way. And we're going to start it off today with pinning our partner from our harness position. Okay, so the near side arm, the side that's closer to me, I have isolated out away from her body. I don't want to try this sequence if the arm is still in pretty tight. So I'm going to try to get it out away from her body. And then I'm going to kind of keep it out like that. You guys see that there? And then this hand is going to go underneath of her head and get a good control. This arm is a battle. I want to be underneath of hers, and she wants to be underneath of me. We're going to say that I got the upper hand on this today, and I've got this underneath position. Now, she knows that she's going to be in the most trouble if her arm stays out like this, because it's not able to help her for her defense at all. And so a lot of times what she's going to do is take her wrist and start pushing on me like this. Yeah, exactly. Okay. And she'll be starting to like press me off of her and stuff like that. Okay. Perfect. And so when I feel this, I'm going to try to keep her arm hugged up to me a little bit. So this arm is making an effort to pull her to me a little bit. It won't move much, but I'll feel the tension. And then I'm going to switch this arm around here. And I'm going to keep my palm down so my thumb is pointed at myself. And I'm going to pull it up onto her ribs. Now this hand can come back and block her leg in case she was trying to like get her guard back or something like that. And she should feel fairly stuck. And now I can kind of walk over. Her right arm becomes free. But I've got a really good bite on her left arm, the one that you can see from the camera right now. And so I still have my palm down on Mira's chest, and this hand, the far hand, is blocking her hip. It's doing just this, it's just blocking her hip, but on the side that you can't see from the camera right now. So what I want to do is I really want to isolate this arm. And so I'm going to kind of slide back to pull it up just a little bit, and then I'm going to bring my weight forward, and I'm going to try to squish her arm. She should feel like it's kind of squished. Do you feel like it's kind of squished? She said yep and coughed a few times. So that means we're doing it pretty well. Okay. Now, if we just hang out here, it probably is that Mira feels her elbow is vulnerable from that position. And so what a lot of people will do, especially if the top person is applying a lot of pressure, is they're going to want to move their hand out of there so that their elbow doesn't feel vulnerable anymore. And where's the only place you can move your hand to, Mira? You try to get it out of there. It has to go there. And my other hand was there ready for it, already in position to capture my figure 4 grip. So remember, this hand was right by her hip, and that's sort of the only place she can escape her own hand too. So let's look at that again. Okay. So I'm here, and I apply a little pressure. Mira feels uncomfortable, so she escapes her hand, and I catch it. See my fingers right here? I just caught it. And now what I want to do is keep her on her side. So I roll her onto her side. I move my knees forward so I'm kind of sitting on her head. And I put her hand behind her back and bring it to my knee for the tap out. There. There's a few other ways I can position my body for the finish, but that one puts the least amount of pressure on Mira, which is important if there's a size difference between you and your spouse when you're doing this. And so it's probably the right thing so I don't get in a lot of trouble later on. Let's scoot that way a little bit and we'll do it again. All right, I'll show again. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them obviously into the chat and we'll answer them as best as we can. So we're gonna start in our harness position once our belts are adjusted. Okay? So harness position, I'm gonna have this arm kind of isolated. Something like this right here. And remember this battle on the side that you can see from the camera, I want to be under her arm. She wants to be under my arm. And we're going to say for now that I got the upper hand already, and so I'm winning. This move would not be super available the other way around. It would be harder to do. Okay? So what Mira's going to do is try to push me away. Going to try to make a brace right on my windpipe and push me away. And if I stay here, it's very uncomfortable. So I'm going to let go. And I'm very briefly going to have both arms here. Not for long. When you get good at this, you want to make sure it's a pretty quick transition because I don't want both of my arms over here for more than just a moment. And my first arm is going to help make her elbow lift high so my hand can come under it. And then this arm is going to go block her hip. And when I block her hip, that means I can walk this way, but she can't because my hand is blocking her hip. Hard for her to follow me. Okay? So here's the part where I put that pressure on her arm. I kind of slide back, and then I go at a diagonal across her body, and she feels the pressure. When she feels uncomfortable, she's going to swivel her arm out right into our trap. Right? Now, if her head stays free, she might be able to escape. So I'm going to try to pin her head a little bit here and like squish it with my knees. I lift her arm so it's behind her back, and then I pull it toward my knee, and we get the tap out there. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and switch it over and have Mira give it a try on me now. All right, so Mira's going to be in our harness position. Okay, so her left arm is under my head, and her right arm is under my arm. I know that this position where it looks like I'm giving Mira a hug is terrible for me. This is a really bad position. And so I want to get at least one of my arms. Mira's hair is falling in my mouth. I want to get at least one of my arms under something like this right here. And Mira can feel if I were to push hard, this would be probably pretty uncomfortable for her. Okay? And so in anticipation of this, her right arm is going to hug my arm and lift my elbow just an inch or two to the sky. Okay, pull it toward your body. Yeah, that way, perfect. And then once it's held there, her left arm is going to release my head and come overlap with her other arm. Yep, just pretty much like this. Now she's going to want to try to get all the way around to where her palm is on my, she's not going to hold it with her hand. Her palm is going to go on my body. All the way onto my ribs with your palm if you can. So move right to my elbow with your left hand, or with your left elbow. Yeah, it's like an elbow on elbow snag. This is great. Okay, so now the grip feels pretty good for Mira. She's sort of aligned her left elbow near my left elbow, and that's just like it should be. And when I teach our new students this, that's a common thing is they don't necessarily go to the correct part of the arm. And so it's pretty important that you make the adjustment that Mira just made because it feels pretty good now. And now she's ready for the next step. So her right hand is going to block my hip. So her right hand goes to my right hip. Okay. And now she can walk her own body toward my head, and I can't follow her. So go ahead, Mira. Walk your body to my head. Keep pressure on my left arm. Okay, perfect. Okay. So now what she's going to do is scoop my arm up to the sky a little bit. Yes, and then she's going to drive it over in this direction. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, this is it's very uncomfortable. And so I can't take my arm toward the camera. It's too stuck. But I can think about going this way. But that's when she's going to get my wrist. And then she's going to get her own wrist. Keep it underneath like that. try to put your elbow just a little above my elbow on the tricep side. Other way, not like this. Yes. Okay. Mira's gonna roll me a little bit onto my right side. Good. And then she's gonna kind of sit on my head so my head gets stuck. So one knee on each side of my head. There you go. And then she's gonna make my arm behind my back. And then we'll get the tap out from there. Okay.
A lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts. It's important to get these though if you want to get the submission. So let's go and try it again. Okay, so Mira starts in the harness. Okay, it's like a seatbelt but from the front. They call it a harness. Okay, so I know that this hand, my left hand, the one I'm wiggling, I know that this is in a very bad position right now. And one thing I can do to help make it a little bit better for me is to come under and try to push Mira away. It still isn't good for me, but it's better than my arm in the other spot. Okay, so this is where our move is going to start from. So her right arm is going to lift my elbow toward her just by like 2 inches. Yes, that's great. She's going to release my head and make her elbow ditch go kind of by my elbow on the back there. Yep, and be always on the tricep part, not the forearm part. Yes. Yeah, this actually feels like a great grip that she's got on it. Feels really good. Okay. Now that she's got a good grip there, what's going to happen is her right hand can let go and it can go block my hip. Okay. And I can't quite feel. Is your left palm on my chest, flat on my chest? If not, go ahead and put it there. Yeah. Yeah, this is good. So Mira just made a good adjustment. She put her left palm like flat on my chest. That way, even if I try as hard as I can to rip my elbow down, her arm has it trapped. There's no escape downwards from my arm. She made like a closed loop. Okay? So now she's blocked my hip. So if I try to go this way, I can't go because she's blocking. So she's going to keep that block and she's going to walk over my head. Yep, keep walking until you're all the way over my head. Okay, perfect. All right. So now she's going to pull my elbow up to the sky a little bit. And then at that diagonal over in this direction, and she's going to put pressure downwards to squish me. Yeah, that pressure is really important. And so this is hurting my arm. And the only way to make my arm not hurt is try to go this way. So then she's going to get it and make her figure 4 grip. And just double check that she stays on my tricep side, not the forearm side with her left elbow. Tricep side. Yes, very good. Now, if I stay flat on my back, it can be hard for her. And so she wants to roll me onto my side. Good. One of her legs on each side of my head. And then my hand goes behind my back. And then she gets it. Can be kind of a lot of moving parts. But that last little bit there is pretty important, especially if you get somebody like Mira who's pretty flexible. It can be hard to make this submission work if they're flat on their back because the floor stops it. And so you want to try to give enough angle that you can actually put their arm all the way behind their back and then force it up, right? So I won't do the whole submission, but just so you guys can see, if I just get Mira to lay on her back right here. Mira's flexible enough that she can put her elbow and her palm flat on the floor at the same moment. And it's not that uncomfortable for her. If you saw me do it, my shoulders are tight enough that would be a little bit hard for me. But you get someone flexible like Mira, and that's not a problem. And her hand can't go any farther because the mat is in the way, right? You guys see that her hand is blocked by the mat. It can't go anymore. And so I can push and push and push, and it's not going to submit Mira from there, right? So what I want to do is I want to take my partner and get them at least a little on their side this way. So now, and you'll be ready to tap with this hand. Now, as her arm goes, now there's actually room to make it go. And you see how far on Mira I had to make her arm go, like all the way up to the middle of her back because of how flexible she is. And so getting your partner on their side a little bit is an important part. Okay? Now I'm going to show one alternative finish. That this one has kind of a lot of moving parts, and so I might be the only one that demonstrates, and not Mira for this one. But it's going to be the same submission on the same arm. And the reason I would do this is if my partner was really good about trying to stay flat on their back. They're making it very hard for me to pull them on their side. They know I want them on their side, and so they're like, oh no, I'm going to be really stubborn. I'm going to try to stay a little bit more flat on their back. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to try to turn them all the way, and I'm not going to try to pick up their whole body, because trying to lift your partner's hips is very difficult to do. But it's not that hard to get their head and their shoulders to come up the mat. And I'm going to take advantage of that. Okay. So I'll show one rep pretty much from the beginning, except I'm going to just change the kind of last step or two to show an alternative finish for it. So we're here. Mira tries to push my neck away. I do my switch, and you see how I'm always below her elbow. She'll make an escape if I go on this side of her elbow. Yeah, she'll get her arm right back. Not good for me. But if I go here and she tries to pull her elbow, it's stuck. It can't go anywhere. This hand blocks her hip. I scoot my way around. Okay. I put the pressure, and I get her wrist. And now Mira's like, oh, remember, I don't want to be on. Yeah, so she's going to do something like this. Okay. So what I can do, and I'm going to, because of the size difference, I'm going to move more loosely than I would normally move. But what I'm going to be trying to do is maintain my grip here. And I'm going to try to sit hip to hip with Mira. And now my arm can pull just her shoulder. And come with me so you don't get hurt. It can pull her. Yeah, this is all the space I need. Relax your arm. This is all the space I need, because then I can step over her head and pull her head to me. It's sort of like not quite a triangle choke, but a little bit. And spin with me, Mira. Spin. So you guys can see my leg is sort of getting her head, and it's keeping her head up this way. And then I have my same grip here, and Mira's going to be ready to tap out. And there's the tap out right there. So instead of getting her like all the way onto her side, I was able to make it work with her just a little bit on her side, as long as I sort of controlled her head still. So either way, you can see that the consistent theme is I'm controlling Mira's head with my lower body. That way my arms can submit her shoulder. All right. If you have any last minute questions, go ahead and pop. It was a famous submission where one of the original founders of jiu-jitsu actually got his arm broken by a judo practitioner whose name was Kimura, that did this submission on them. So, and it's pretty famous in jiu-jitsu. It's one of the most versatile submissions. Gi, no gi, MMA, like you name it, it works pretty much across the board. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. We'll be back with more submissions on Thursday, 4 o'clock. Enjoy the sunshine, and we will see you next time.